So really important exercise to do. We're heading into the season now, so we're going to be suddenly doing test riding, which if you're an event rider, doing that on grass is suddenly even trickier. So yes, rhythm is our first scale of training and is super important, but if you just get into a metronome in the test that you can't get out of, suddenly you get to a corner and you can't steer. So something I do a lot of at home, especially on a horse like Leo, who's quite big moving, and then suddenly his trot feels amazing, but I can't do anything with it, is I just trot into my corners, put in a nice quality walk transition just before them, get my inside leg on, walk nicely through the corner itself and trot out. So sounds a simple exercise, but actually to be able to repeat lots of times is tricky. And then eventually that exercise evolves so that then the walk becomes just a little bit of a slow jog, so that then in the test itself, the horse is slightly coming into that corner, waiting. I might going a little bit of a downwards aid to then be able to come out of balance, in balance, out of the turn, and then be able to go on to the next movement in the test. So we're just going to play with that a little bit now. I haven't done it with him for a while. We're at Bicton. He's feeling a little bit fresh, so it might take me a while, but it will be a good example of how it can be tricky to start with. So I'm coming into the corner, preparing early, trying to use the seat more than the hand, and all of a sudden you notice they go very wobbly. Inside leg into the corner, and then just a little quiet transition to trot out, and then quickly back to the walk again. Good boy. Inside leg into the corner. Coming out, wait till I'm straight. Into the trot again. Good boy. Suddenly realizing without my rails how wobbly I am. Good boy, to the walk. Inside leg on through the turn. Trotting out nice and quiet. So I've got a quick transition coming back again. Good boy. Walking. Looking around my turn myself, turning my body, wait till I'm straight. Into the trot. Good boy. Prepare the transition by sitting a little bit deeper, bring my shoulder blades together. Inside leg, look around the turn. Little quiet transition to trot. Back to the walk again. Look around my corner. Inside leg on, move them out. Wait till I'm straight. Into trot. Prepare with my seat, bring my shoulder blades together. Good boy, then I don't have to go to the hand. On my seat. In looking around, inside leg on, wait till I'm straight. Oops, swung out a little bit too much that time. Walking. Good boy, look around, turn my body. And it seems like a very simple, repetitive exercise, but actually needs to be repeated probably 20 times until I feel that my horse is really getting to that corner and waiting for what I'm going to ask. Good boy. And just trying to be disciplined to keep asking with the same aids. If suddenly they didn't listen and I went to the hand, well, that's useless to me because I'm going to create tightness in the neck. To the seat, shoulder blades together. Good boy. Look around the turn. He's waiting now for another aid, which I quite liked. He almost slowed down a little too much that time. Sitting, waiting. Good boy. And obviously I'm doing this in the sitting trot. The horse is used to sitting trot. You don't have to do it in sitting. You can do it in the rising. Good boy. To the walk again. And it's an exercise, you know, you're very much not showing off the horse's trot yet. You're just trying to teach them just to wait. There'll be something else coming up in the test. You know, one day I want to come out of this corner into a half pass across the arena. So I've got to make sure my horse is waiting on my aid. So now I'm going to try coming back to a little jog. Looking around the turn, good boy, good boy. Back to a little jog, sitting a little deeper, shoulder blades together, looking around. Good boy, and then coming out to a normal trot again. And you can do this in as tight a space or as big a space as possible. Good boy. And then back to the jog again, seat, shoulder blades together, look around the turn. So I've done a few jogs. This time I'm going to go back to doing the walk again. Seat, shoulder blades together. Good boy, look around the turn. Into the trot again. Seat, shoulder blades together. Whoa, so that time wasn't on my aid. Good boy. Working on lots of things here. You know, really reactiveness to the aids, understanding of the aids, horse waiting for the next aid, not just charging around. I'm going to try a little jog again. Good boy. And now I'm going to dare myself to come out in a slightly more showy offy trot. And then can I still come back to my jog from that? Good boy. Oh, good boy. Very much came back. Another little jog. And then once I get straight, I'm going to try and show off my trot a little more. So I'm going to ride it a little more forwards. And then can he still come back to the seat? Good boy. If I get hollowing, I need a little bit more leg on. Back to the seat again. Nice and straight. When I'm straight, ride a little bit more forwards again. And then let's see if I can get a walk transition. Good boy. Turn myself. Trotting on. Jogging this one. Coming out straight. Showing off for a few strides. Back on the seat. Good boy. I'm going to pop in a walk again. On the seat, shoulder blades together. Look around. Coming out in the trot. Good boy. Jogging this one. Shoulder blades. Yeah, good boy. Very good. Jogging this one. Jogging. To then go across the diagonal. To change the rein, show off my trot a little bit. And then back to a walk again for this next corner. Wait till I'm straight. Good boy. Walking again. They come up so quick. Good boy. Trotting on, and now I repeat the process on the left rein as well. Good boy. And I'm just going to mix it up, sometimes jogging, like with that one. Good boy. And then this one I'm going to walk again. Shoulder blades, stay on my seat. Look around the turn. Into the trot. Good boy. I'm going to jog a couple. Good boy. And not worrying that I'm slightly losing some of my softness sometimes, some of my connection sometimes, because when you're really working on one pattern, one exercise, sometimes some of the other things get a little bit lost in translation. I didn't prepare that one early enough. If I'm totally honest, I didn't decide whether I was jogging or walking. So that was me not giving a clear enough signal. Good boy. And this is a really difficult exercise because not only am I training these transitions, the horse is having to do lots and lots and lots of mini little squats like going to the gym. Because every time we go down a transition to the walk or up a transition to the trot, the horse has to sit and then push again. So it's a really physically demanding exercise actually. Good boy. And then to the slow trot. Good boy. I'm going to jog again. And then come out and try and show off my trot a little bit by riding a little more forwards. And then I'm going to put in a walk transition. Good boy. Then into the trot. And then I'm going to jog again. And then I'm going to try and show off my trot out of this turn. Ride a little more forwards. Good boy. And then a jog. Whoa, didn't prepare that early enough. That's my fault, not his. And then to the walk again. Yeah, that one was better. I thought about it a little bit earlier. Good boy, trotting on. And then I might mix it up. I might jog through this one again. Jog through this little turn as if I'm coming down a centre line. Good boy. And then be able to pop in a walk. Do a halt. And then a big pack. Good boy. Tricky exercise, yeah, so it might seem simple. All we're doing is trotting and walking and trotting in and out of corners, but actually takes a lot of discipline from me as a rider to think, am I preparing my horse early enough for each transition? Am I giving him or her the correct signals in preparation? And then also for the horse to be thinking, what are we doing next? Yes, and as I said, it is physically demanding because they have to do so many squats every single time they are doing a transition. So it's a physically demanding exercise which improves strength.